about time because we've seen Ortiz being able to escape. We have the Ayatollah of anime. Wow,
Good
Ortiz.
shot. Good in this whole card so far. It hasn't felt like.
Oh, wait, no! Sakawa.
Yep. Doble gancho que lo cuesta a dormir.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's upcoming fight on the undercard of Alamo Williams versus Patrice Volny. Jermaine Ortiz, the technician, takes on the Magic, Alamo. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please hit the subscribe button? Also, like this video, along with hit the bell notification button. What that'll allow you to do is become notified every time I put something out that's new. One more thing, I want to give a shout out to a subscriber from the channel, Robbie Digital. He commented with a $5 donation on my last video. Now, you would think a YouTube content creator for the last 2 years would know about this. I had no idea you could even do that. So it kind of made my day. I just want to say thank you to Robbie Digital. I do put a lot of time and effort into my channel. This isn't my only job. I just got my channel monetized only a year ago. So every little thing such as that helps. And I just want to say thank you once again. All right, guys, this weekend on the undercard of Volny versus Williams, we have Edgar Berlanga versus Jonathan Gonzalez. We already featured that fight. I've tagged that story in this one, but today we're gonna start chopping wood at the undercard. This one we're gonna feature Alamo versus Jermaine Ortiz, and we're also going to feature another fight on that undercard tomorrow. But today we're gonna talk about the Technician versus the Magic, two pretty cool nicknames in the sport of boxing. Ortiz is coming off a knockout victory this past November, and Alamo is coming off a tough, gritty performance in which he took on a young, undefeated prospect, Tiger Johnson, but he came up on the short end. Guys, the narrative of this fight with Jermaine Ortiz is a guy who wants to get back in title contention. We know he's fought for the title. He's fought some big names. His only loss is Teofimo Lopez and Lomachenko. So I don't like saying this is a take a step back fight for Jermaine Ortiz, but this is one that he gets to showcase against a real seasoned veteran in Alamo. With an exciting performance, you'd have to think propel his name right once again into a title picture. With Alamo, it's kind of like the reverse in terms of Ortiz. He's taken a step up. So this isn't a step back. Even though Alamo's coming off of a loss, the story of his career so far, even though he's super skilled, he's gritty, he's a tough out, is every time he has taken a step up, he's lost Liam Paro, Richardson Hitchens. He has a draw on his record. And like I said, his last fight against Tiger Johnson did not go his way. But when you fight Alamo, you know you're in a dogfight. So in this video, I want to remind everybody who each fighter is. We're going to take a little bit of a look at their most recent resume. We're going to talk about what Las Vegas has this fight as, where the bettors are putting their money. And stay tuned to the end of the video because this is a prediction video. Some information about this fight, Ortiz versus Alamo. They're fighting at 140 pounds. Ortiz is 18-2-1. Alamo's 22-3-1. There's no belts at stake. Jermaine beat Jamel Herring in 2022 for the NABF lightweight title. He is 2-2 in his last 4 fights, losing against Vasily Lomachenko after beating Herring and Teofimo Lopez in 2024 for the WBO super lightweight title. The Technician looks to return to title contention. Alamo, 22-3-1, lost 2 straight against Liam Paro and Richardson Hitchens and has since gone 2-1. The Magic has 12 wins via knockout. Now, you look at the Magic's 2 losses, Liam Paro was a champion, Richardson Hitchens now a champion. So you know the mindset of this guy is that he knows he's so close. Every time he's been challenged and he's taken that little bit of a step up, the decisions have not gone his way. Let's take a closer look at Jermaine Ortiz's most recent resume. Guys, we know Ortiz is 18-2-1. He has 9 knockouts. He carries into the ring a 50% career knockout to win ratio and is currently ranked number 26 worldwide out of 2,650 super lightweight fighters. His adoring fans know him as the Technician, and the American's a 28-year-old orthodox fighter standing at 5'8" with a 69 inch reach. We last saw him against Mino, 24-9 knockout in the 4th. Teofimo Lopez, 19-1, he lost to UD in the 12th. Antonio Moran, 29-5, he won a UD in the 10th. Lomachenko, 16-2, lost a decision in the 12th. Herring, 23-3, won a UD in the 10th. So with Jermaine Ortiz, we're looking at a fighter who's searching for consistency. He got back on the winning track, but you've seen win one, lose one, win one. He wants to put together a streak. And you look at a guy with a storied amateur career, you look at a skilled boxer, you watch him, he does so many nice things in the ring. I thought that fight against Teofimo Lopez was a lot closer than what the judges had it. I still think that I like Jermaine Ortiz's work in that fight. He did some great things, not enough for the judges to give him the victory. I'd like to see him pull the trigger a little bit more. I'd like to see him not be, I don't want to say so defensively minded, but a little bit more offensively minded. And I think when he decides to do that, and if he could add that offensive element into his game, his skills are there. He's fun to watch. And I think at 28 years old, he could still be a star, a household name. Now let's take a closer look at his opponent. All right, guys, Alamo's 22-3 with 13 knockouts. He carries into the ring a 60% career knockout to win ratio. And out of 2,650 super lightweights, he's ranked number 105 in the world. His adoring fans know him as the Magic, and the 30-year-old's a Puerto Rican Orthodox fighter standing at 5'8" with a 69-inch reach. We last saw him fight Tiger Johnson, 13-0. He lost the decision in the 8th. Jason Velez, 30-15, won a decision in the 8th. Adriano Ramirez, 13-5, knockout in the 1st. Richardson Hitchens, who was 14-0, got stopped in the 8th. Liam Perro, who was 21-0, lost a split decision in the 10th. So this is a guy who's been in the ring, shared space with some of the best fighters in the world at his weight class. He's 30 years old. He's in the prime of his career. It is now or never. He has a very offensive-minded style. He's going to be coming forward. He's going to force Jermaine Ortiz to fight and box him. It's going to be, can Ortiz defensively stay responsible against Alamo? Will Alamo be able to track him down and use his feet? Will Alamo be able to put Ortiz in vulnerable situations? We won't know that until fight night. Will Ortiz play Alamo's game and stand there to get hit? We saw in Alamo's last fight, as that fight went on and on, it only went 8 rounds, he hurt Tiger Johnson early and forced Tiger Johnson later in the fight having to clinch with him, having to trade with him. The crowd was going crazy, and people thought that Alamo maybe would be able to get Johnson out of there, but Johnson was just too tough. His footwork was too good, and he was able to use his movement to avoid that finish, and ultimately he won the fight. So that's what it's going to come down to. Las Vegas has this fight almost 7-1, meaning if you put $100 on Jermaine Ortiz, you only get $14 in return. You put $100 on Alamo, you get $700 back. At this moment, only a couple nights out from the fight, the sports bet app I use down here in Australia doesn't have any match betting or props up right now. It's literally just a money line. If you take the draw, it's 21-1 odds, and I should mention both guys on their career records do have a draw. So if you're feeling froggy, 100 there gets you over $2,000 back. For my prediction, I just think Jermaine Ortiz's class is going to be a bit too much. I think the problems defensively that some of Alamo's past opponents gave him in terms of not being able to get his offense off, I think Jermaine Ortiz is equally as good, or if not better than his past opponents in that market. I think that Ortiz will give his fans a little bit more to cheer for in terms of the offense. He's going to come in there. He fills out the weight class pretty good. Side by side, they're the same height, same reach. I just think that the conditioning and the movement patterns of Jermaine Ortiz are going to be a bit too much for Alamo to handle. I think Alamo is going to fade as the fight goes on, and I'm taking Ortiz to win by decision. In the comment section below, you know what I'm about to say here. This is not an echo chamber. You do not have to agree with me. If you think the upset-minded Alamo is going to go into Florida and get the victory, let me know. If you think the favorite Jermaine Ortiz is going to win, let me know. Does he win by decision, or does he win by...
Alvarez, he wanted a comeback fight, right? And the comeback fight really was not like a headline event. It was just, if I get beat, I want a chance just to have a quick win and then go into a big fight.
Right there. Is that a knockout? Yes, it is.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a closer look at the statistics that nobody talks about. We're mentioning this weekend's fight at 168 pounds. between Edgar Berlanga and Jonathan Gonzalez Ortiz. Hey guys, this weekend we have the return of Puerto Rican superstar Edgar Berlanga. This is a guy that started his career with an impressive knockout streak, and we know boxing's a sport to where when they love you, and when they don't love you, they don't. But Berlanga is coming off the first loss of his career. This guy was taking heat from the media when he was undefeated and winning fights by decision because he started off on such a hot knockout streak. Fans and the media just expected him to keep knocking people out. But we know the better you get, the longer you're in the sport, the more higher competition you're going to fight, and this was the case with Berlanga. That roadmap eventually led him to an undisputed world title shot against none other than boxing superstar, Mexican great Canelo Alvarez. We watched that fight last September. Berlanga lost pretty much every single round, but through his grittiness, through the way he fought, his stock did rise with the boxing community. He did a media tour after he lost that fight. No matter if you liked it or you disliked it, his stock has grown, his social media presence has grown, and this has led him to his next fight. A lot of you guys might not know who Jonathan Gonzalez Ortiz is. I had to refresh my memory. This is an undefeated 35-year-old Puerto Rican fighter, but I remember him from over a decade ago. Now, my hometown, which I left in the early 2000s, is a boxing town, Youngstown, Ohio. We produced world champions like Ray Boom Mancini. One of my childhood best friends was Kelly the Ghost Pavlik, and one of his sparring mates when we were kids was a kid named Billy Lyle, who became a professional. He fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. to a really close fight. His nickname was the Pride of Ohio, Billy Lyle. And I remember back in the day, he fought this guy, Jonathan Gonzalez Ortiz. This was in a different weight class, and it seemed like Ortiz was on this trajectory to becoming a household name, and he just disappeared. And I've done my due diligence. I couldn't find a specific reason or a specific article speaking about why he took over 10 years off from the sport. It's hard to find anything on this guy. I couldn't even find a legit Instagram profile for this guy. So a lot of us were asking, why would Berlanga, his next fight, be against this guy? So I wanted to play an interview from yesterday of Eddie Hearn, Matchroom CEO, the brass behind Berlanga's fight with Canelo and his current contract situation, and listen to Eddie Hearn's description on why Berlanga chose to fight Gonzalez Ortiz.
Canelo Alvarez, he wanted a comeback fight, right? And the comeback fight really was not like a headline event. It was just, if I get beat, I want a chance just to have a quick win and then go into a big fight. So in Edgar Berlanga's contract, there was a provision for a comeback fight on an undercard in a straightforward fight. Okay, when he fought Canelo and did really well, and you know his profile rose, we then spoke to Edgar Berlanga and Keith Connolly about the possibility of headlining in Puerto Rico. We tried to do a different kind of deal. We spoke to DAZN. We ran out of time. So in the end, it was like, we're out of time. Let's just revert to the contract, get that one done, and then we'll move into a big fight. So when people say, is there a fallout? There was probably 24, 48 hours of, oh, fuck it, like, you know, like,
I'm a free agent.
Yeah, but he's a free agent after this fight. And if he does want to go elsewhere, we've done the most incredible job for him. I'll shake his hand and I'll say good luck. I hope he spends the rest of his career with Matchroom. But what we're doing is we're honouring our contract instead of not giving him a fight and it all, you know, mixing up. So it's not.
All right, so hopefully that makes a lot of sense to you. It helped clarify a few things with me. I didn't know that it was in his contract obligations because he isn't the main event this weekend in Orlando. Like you heard Eddie talk, he's on the undercard. He's the co-feature in the Alamo Williams feature fight against Volny. So in this video, we're gonna remind everybody, educate everybody who Edgar Berlanga is, who his opponent is. We're gonna talk about what they've been up to, the pros and cons. We're gonna talk a little bit about what Las Vegas is saying this fight, and stay tuned to the end for my prediction as well. Let's get started. Now here's a little bit more info about this fight and this bout. Guys, Edgar Berlanga, 22-1 with 17 knockouts, is gearing up to face unbeaten Jonathan Gonzalez Ortiz, 20-0 with 1 draw, 16 knockouts, this weekend, March 15th, live on DAZN from the Caribe Royale in Orlando, Florida, on the undercard of Alamo Williams versus Patrice Volny. For Berlanga, this will be his first fight since his unanimous decision loss to Canelo on September 14th, the first defeat of his career. a respectable effort, he was clearly outclassed with the judges scoring a 118-109 twice and 117-110 in favor of Canelo. A victory in this bout could position Berlanga for a major fight in his next outing. The bigger question is why Berlanga has been relegated to the undercard. We just heard Eddie Hearn talk a little bit about this. Some more details says that while an unbeaten opponent was secured for him, Gonzalez Ortiz is 35 years old, lacks experience against world-class competition, and is returning from a decade-long hiatus. Berlanga's promoters at Matchroom appear to be taking a cautious approach following his loss to Canelo, easing him back into competition with Gonzalez Ortiz before matching him up against top-tier opponents in the near future. Berlanga being paired with this level of opposition suggests significant concerns with his management team. There wouldn't be a need to step him back this far unless his promoters or handlers had doubts. Securing a victory in this fight is crucial though, as they aim to build him back for huge fights in the near future, possibly with Caleb Plant or, in Berlanga's eyes, another fight with Canelo. Ultra hardcore boxing fans who have followed the sport for the past 10 to 15 years may remember Puerto Rican native Jonathan Gonzalez Ortiz, who was steadily rising through the ranks from 2009 to 2014. Before his abrupt exit from the sport in 2014, he had secured victories over notable names such as Derek Ennis, Serhi Dizenruk, Billy Lyle, Richard Gutierrez, and Rogelio Porky Medina. While seasoned fans recognize these fighters from the pre-2014 era, Gonzalez Ortiz's sudden departure from the sport 11 years ago remains a mystery. That said, given today's boxing landscape, where fighters in their 40s and 50s are still competing, 35 isn't necessarily too old. So guys, when we look at Jonathan Gonzalez Ortiz's career, we know that he's taken a decade off. We've already talked about that multiple times in this video, but I want to talk about he's never fought at 168 pounds. Of his 2021 career fights, he fought a few times at 162, but he started his career in the 140s. So this fight at 168 will be his first fight there. We know Edgar is going to want to go in there and put on a show. He's probably going to want to get him out there quickly. Let's take a closer look at what Las Vegas tells us these odds are. Currently, guys, Edgar is $1.07, meaning if you put $100 on Berlanga, you get $7 back. Gonzalez is a 10-1 underdog. If you put 100 on him and he wins, you get 1,000 back, and it's 26-1 on the draw. 100 gets you 2,600. Right now, this betting app that I use down here in Australia, Sportsbet, doesn't have any match or prop bets. If that changes closer to the weekend, pay attention to the channel. I'll put them on our community section portion of the channel. But right now, you either take Berlanga or you take Martinez outright on the money line. Look, it'd take a brave soul or somebody who's just a Berlanga hater to really pick Gonzalez Ortiz in this fight. We know what this is. This is a fight to get Berlanga back on track. For me to say that Berlanga is going to go in here and have a flat performance, I'd be shocked if he did. Now, he is fighting an undefeated fighter. He's also a fellow Puerto Rican, so there will be pride in this matchup. I don't think Gonzalez is going to go in there and want to lay down, but I just think Berlanga is going to be too classy, too young. Look at their career trajectories. We know what this fight is. Berlanga is supposed to show up and knock Gonzalez out. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I watched highlights from Gonzalez's last fight against a guy I never heard of. Didn't really look like a guy that's going to challenge for a world title. Maybe he just wanted to come back from the sport after a decade and prove something to himself and his family. I'm predicting an early night for Berlanga. I expect him to knock this guy out in the first few rounds. We'll say rounds 1 through 4. This fight doesn't jump off of the paper, but what I'm trying to do more and more on my channel is to feature all fights throughout the year, not just the big pay-per-view ones.
Saturday is going to be a great fight. It's a good opportunity for me to be back in the ranking. We've been there before COVID. I know him. It's a game fighter. He's here to fight. We all know that he's going to come at his best shape. I will come in my best shape. So I think it's going to be a war.
Williams. For how much longer? Williams goes up against you. He lands a straight left hand.
Welcome, fight fans, to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's headlining main event in Orlando, Florida, between Alamo Williams and the Canadian Patrice Volny. All right, guys, all week I've been going over this fight card in Orlando, Florida. We covered a few fights so far. The return of Edgar Berlanga. There's also a featured fight between Yomar Alamo and Jermaine Ortiz. And today we're going to be covering the main event This fight takes place at middleweight, 160 pounds, between a few top 25 middleweights in the world. We know the champions in that division, guys. We just saw Carlos Adames fought to a draw against Hamzat Shiraz. Shiraz has fought and beat Alamo Williams not too long ago via 11th round stoppage, so there is history with those two guys. And the other champions in the division are unified champion Janibek, as well as the never-aging wonder Arislandi Lara. So this is one of those fights where you have a 35-year-old Canadian in Volny and a 28-year-old Southpaw American in Williams. They're looking to get back into title contention. It's a main event for a reason. This goes to show you how much energy and effort the promoter's putting behind Ammo, because he's a very exciting fighter to watch. The Texas Southpaw is a guy who's gonna go in there and fight you every single time. He recently gave an interview this week talking about the day and age of having undefeated records are long gone, and his fighting style is here to prove it. And I support that. This guy went out on his shield against Shiraz. Shiraz was a taller fighter. Now, Hamza, most people would say that wasn't the same guy that we saw against Adames, and I'd like to tell those people, maybe Carlos Adames is just that good. So there's a lot of things that still need to take place if we ever think we're going to see another Shiraz versus Williams fight, but you never know. That fight doesn't seem too far away or far-fetched with how things are turning out. We last saw Ammo this past November, his first fight since his only career loss against Shiraz. He came back with a knockout victory, and his opponent, Volny, this guy, all he does is knock people out. He only has one loss on his resume, and that is controversial. It was a 6-round stoppage due to a cut, which ended up, they went to the scorecards. He was fighting the Brazilian Facao, but if you watch that fight, I just got done watching it, it got stopped in the 6th. They went to the decision, and Volny lost the decision. But if you watch it, the momentum was all Volny, and you started to see that fight swing, and it wouldn't be ill-advised to say that Volny would have come out on top. So that's his only career loss. At 35 years old, it is now or never. It's going to be an exciting matchup between two guys who want to put on a show. A lot of mainstream fight fans might not know who Volny is. So in this video, we're going to take a closer look at both fighters. We're going to talk about what they've been up to. We're going to cover the Las Vegas odds, where the bettors are putting their money at, as well as stay tuned to the end of the video, guys, because this is a prediction video. Now let's remind everybody about what's at stake during this fight this weekend in Florida. All right, guys, on the eve of his fight with Patrice Volny, Austin Ammo Williams dismissed the modern-day culture of perfection that demands that fighters remain undefeated. He and Canada's Volny fight at middleweight on Saturday at the Caribe Royale in Orlando, Florida, in their attempts to secure a world title fight later in 2025. And aware that the picture surrounding the titles in their weight division is ever evolving. They headline a promotion also featuring Edgar Berlanga versus Jonathan Gonzalez Ortiz and Jermaine Ortiz versus Yomar Alamo, as well as the much anticipated professional debut of Olympian Omari Jones. Perhaps equally relevant to the 28-year-old Williams is the fact that he fights for the second time since having recorded his only defeat to Hamzat Shiraz in June of 2024. And that there remains a perception that defeat continues to undermine Ammo's value. And I quote, "We're closing in on an ending of an era of perfection where everything has to be perfect, which I believe ruins fighters, makes guys not want to take risks," he said. "That's never been Ammo Williams. To land here is just a dream come true for me. The Ammo Show. You will see explosion, and beyond explosion, you'll see brilliance. You'll see class. You are witnessing the beginning of something very special. Everybody who's been on this journey with me, y'all seen me. My highest of highs and lowest of lows. I'm inspired by the people on this card. Omari Jones right here, Olympian, helping me push myself forward. My promoter Eddie Hearn knew he was going to build me up through professional boxing. I had to go around the world. I've been in the Middle East, the UK, Madison Square Garden, MGM Grand, putting on big shows, fighting swing bouts, and ending up 2 fights before Anthony Joshua, right before Katie Taylor. My journey has not been textbook. We're figuring this thing out as we go. It's a race. Everybody's running. You're on your last leg no matter what. You're on top of the mountain one day, you could get knocked off to the ground the next. So to take sacrifices in real fights, it gets scary for fighters." End quote. Volny, who's 35, has also previously recorded defeat against Brazil's Esquiva Falcao in 2021. And I quote, "Ammo's a tough fighter, good fighter," he said. "But I've been in the game a long time. I've been on the road a long time. I'm here to fight. That's what I love. My team called me to say, 'Do you want to fight Ammo?' I said yes, right away. I'm not here just to fight regular fights. If I make it, I make it. If I don't, well, that's the game. I'm 100% in. It's going to be a great fight, amazing fight. Stay tuned. Guys, I'm excited about this fight. It's going to be the headliner on an interesting card, an interesting show. It goes to show you the anticipation of the division when they're headlining and Berlanga, who's coming off a Canelo fight, who's under them. Now, there really aren't any superstars at 160 pounds, and that's no offense to the aforementioned champions. All I'm saying is, with an electrifying performance on either side, whether it's the Canadian Volny or the American Williams, you'd have to think it instantly puts them into a title shot as well as close to being a household name if they get an electric knockout. With social media how it is, with knockouts going viral, you never know. With both guys already having a resume, already putting the long yards into their roadmap to their career to put them where they are on Saturday night, anything can happen. When we look at the odds of Las Vegas, currently this is where the fight sits at on the money line. I want to remind everybody I'm using the Sports Bet app in Australia. The money line shows Williams at $1.60, meaning $100 on Williams gets you $60 in return. 100 on Volny gets you $250 in return, and it's 17-1 on the draw. 100 gets you 1,700, meaning that Ammo Williams is a slight favorite. I put this question up on our Facebook group today and on our YouTube community section on who's going to win. And a lot of people are saying 50-50, but then a lot of people, maybe they're just unaware of Volny's style. He's a taller fighter, a rangy fighter, a knockout artist, are saying that Ammo's going to watch Volny. I'm not quite sure. I have this fight as a 50-50. I want to show you guys some other odds or some other options to take on this fight. All right, let's look at some of the method of victory odds. If you take Ammo to win by points or decision, his odds go from 150 to 270. If you go Ammo to win by knockout, 350. So think about that value for your money. If you think Ammo's going to win by knockout, $100 gets you 350. If you think the Canadian Volny is going to win a points or decision, 6-1. But his odds go to 4-1 if you think he's going to win by knockout. So the money is going to be on, when I talk about value, is either guy by knockout. When you look at their styles, I think this fight is tailor-made for one of these guys to get a finish. And here's my prediction. It's a tough one. And you have a crossroads fight with Volny. At 35, it's now or never. He gets to headline a matchroom show against a young American up-and-coming prospect. And with a knockout, you'd have to think he goes right to the top. And with Ammo, even though he already had a fight since Shiraz, you'd have to think he still has redemption on his mind. Not necessarily to himself, but to the fans and to the naysayers. So he's going to not change anything. We're going to see the same Ammo Williams, that aggressive southpaw who's going to go out on a shield. Now, here's my prediction. When it's a close fight, and I always talk about this, and if there's two gunslingers, two sluggers, I'm not always leaning on the side of experience in terms of round experience. The Canadian has that. He's older by almost 8 years. I'm going to go with momentum, and I'm going to go with the youth on this one. I'm taking Ammo Williams to have an impressive victory. I'm taking Ammo Williams to be too much. His pressure, his aggressive southpaw style, I think he's going to catch Volny with his chin in the air, and I think he's going to win by knockout. This is not an echo chamber. Those odds are 3-1 if you put 100 on Ammo to win by knockout. In the comment section below right now, I want to know if you agree with me or disagree with me, and I want to know who wins and how.